Day 3 of watching a scary movie. Alright, choose.
It says invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Okay, so I finished watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and this one is the 1978 version. It is a remake from the 1956 film. And that 1956 film was actually adapted from a book. Kids, this is why we should be reading, because everything that's great comes from books. Yeah. Invasion of the Body Snatchers takes place in San Francisco, where it follows a health code inspector played by Donald Sutherland and his scientist co-worker played by Brooke Adams. Elizabeth Driscoll is the female scientist in the movie. She is going along for a walk and sees this really cool pod that has a flower on it. It's actually a kind of cool foreshadowing, like, hey, I found this really weird pod flower thing and I can't seem to find it in a book. One day she wakes up and she sees that the vase that she put the flower pod into to keep it watered has broken, and her boyfriend Jeffrey is cleaning up the mess, like the actual glass. So what has happened is that Jeffrey has been replaced with a look-alike that the pod has made. Elizabeth really wants to go see Jeffrey for lunch, and she goes there and he's not at his office, which he usually is. She looks out the window and she sees him with some people she's never seen before, and he walks off with them. Matthew is a very logical person, says, hey, I want you to talk to my therapist friend, who is played by Leonard Nimoy, or Leonard Nimoy. Leonard Nimoy plays the psychiatrist, David Kibner. That's when they run into Jeff Goldblum. I didn't know he was in this movie, so that was actually kind of fun. He's so young, and it's so adorable. Jeff Belichick owns a spa with his wife, Nancy. This is when Nancy, who's cleaning up after everything, opens up a curtain and sees this body laying there that's covered in like these hairs. For some reason, they call their friends instead of cops. Don't quite understand that, but we're doing it for the plot, people. They call over Matthew, and Matthew runs over there to check it out. The psychiatrist Kibner comes over, and he's like, what body? He doesn't see anything. The body has made its way out. So this is the point where Matthew is like, I think this is what Elizabeth was talking about. The weird things that are happening. He tries to phone her, can't get a hold of her, and he then goes to her house, sees her, that she's passed out cold, he snatches her. So this is when you realize that when these people have been infected by this alien, that once they fall asleep, that's when that whole transition takes place. Steals her, brings her back to the spa, the mud bath area that the Belichicks own. Everybody has been replaced by the pod people. These tendrils come out while Matthew is sleeping outside with all these pods out there. I don't know how he didn't notice these giant pods in his itty bitty little garden. Mind you, you're not supposed to be falling asleep. The pod opens up and wraps its little tendrils around his hand. So this thing is absorbing who he is, his likeness. And it births this humanoid. He smashes his clone, which pretty much kills it. This is when the Belichicks decide that they're going to create a distraction. Jeff Goldblum, what a man. Kibner, so Leonard Nimoy, comes in and is like, you guys, I'm trying to help. They realize he's one of them, and they stuff him into a freezer. Mind you, there is a lot of running around. I mean, they're like rounding people up, like, hey, if you live in this neighborhood, come by over here and we'll give you some pods for free. Where they try to assimilate and try to camouflage themselves by not having any emotion. Then all of a sudden, sees the dog with the owner's face on it. That would scare the shit out of me too. And they're like, oh, there's a boat. Let's go on that boat. Onto this like shipping container boat of pods. So Matthew's like, whoa, fuck me. And he takes her and he's like, Elizabeth, no, wake up. And she just pretty much like implodes into herself where she's like, "Bleh," and then she's like nothing. And then behind him you see naked Elizabeth, and she's like, join us. And he's like, fuck that. And is like, I'm going to set this place ablaze. He gets caught doing it. You then cut to the next scene where he is all dressed up for work. And I forgot to mention this. Early in the movie, he runs into Nancy and she's like, if you act like them, they won't know. He sees Nancy and Nancy's like, oh my God, Matthew. Donald Sutherland pointing at her and like doing the scream that they, that scream that they do. Oh, fuck that. Ah, no, oh my God. Iconic. Veronica Cartwright, it took me a second, but I was like, hey, she was an alien. She played Lambert. A kissing scene, and it was really uncomfortable. I didn't like it. Sorry, Donald Sutherland, but overall, I think it was really good. I think the concept is extremely terrifying, is that you're going and before you know it, everybody that you know has been replaced. I mean, that to me is pretty terrifying. Would I suggest anybody watching this? Absolutely, especially if you're a cinephile and you love old scary movies. This is definitely up there. You should watch it. Tell me what you think. So this was my rundown on Invasion of Body Snatchers. Until next time, you guys stay spooky.